Hello everybody, welcome back. Episode 44 to the Lake Erie North Shore Railroad YouTube channel. And we're going to be building a diesel storage tank in this episode. And we're going to go through everything from the assembly to the pre-assembly thought processing that has to go through. I've had some people ask me about how to approach a model before you build it and things you need to think about before you make the same mistakes that I've made, time and time again. So I've gone through the thought processing of at least what I do before starting a model and going through it. And this particular model is a cornerstone model. So it's one you can get, very easily and go through and build it with us. You can alter it a little bit so that it doesn't look the same on your layout as on everybody else's layout. So that's good. I'd like to, again, ask you to subscribe to the channel if you like it, and hit that old button that says like, and without further ado, let's go into some railroad soul. Across the prairies to the sea, they laid the iron for the rails and we ride. They shared their lives, their hearts and their pride. They had railway soul. Okay, so this is the storage tank here that we're going to be putting up. Put that aside. So this is the storage tank. I don't know if I'm going to leave it that color or not. I may change some of those. And let's see what we have here inside the box. I'm just gonna zoom out a bit so you can have a look here. All right, so we've got the directions. Excellent. And with these cornerstone models, I always love the little history they put in. A lot of information in these things. So when you get these cornerstone models, really take the time to read this, because this is usually some pretty interesting information in there that you can use to understand how to detail the tanks, understand the history of the tanks, where they're used, that kind of stuff. So always take the time to read those. Let's see what we got here. Well, it looks like this looks like the top. And we got some sides that look like they have to be put together. This looks like a really good model. There's a lot of stuff here to do. These are clipped together, so I can't pull them apart. I've only got one hand here now. I'll just pull this out. And then we've got some decals in here. Excellent. Okay, so now you know what we've got to work with. What I'll do is I'll start assembling some of this. And I'll come back when we have something together so you can see what's happening. Okay, talk to you soon. So I'm back after having read these instructions. What has become clear is that the original design of this tank was to hold coal gas. And so they had basically water layers, a level of fluid that as the gas was pumped in, the tank actually expanded. and would hold an airtight seal to contain the gas, the coal gas that was in here. Now, the story with my layout, with this tank, is going to be that they started off using coal gas because we had coal-fired engines and all kinds of things happening previous. But when they changed over to the new engines, to the diesel engines, they modified this tank so that it would hold diesel fuel. Okay, so that's the sort of understory or the backstory to why this tank is even going to be on the layout. And I've had a lot of requests to sort of go over what my thought process is when I'm starting to build models like this, and what is sort of the way I look at it, and some of the thoughts, some of the things that you need to plan for in advance so that you make the best out of your model. So I thought I'd use this one, and we'll just go through a few things. So the number one thing is, when you're doing any model, specifically though the cornerstone ones, I think are this is essential, is that you actually do really take some time and go through the actual layout, or the how to build the models, and really make sure that you read the stuff carefully, because you'll see, for instance, in this case, what you might want, the initial drive, or the initial thought process, is to just go ahead and put this together, because you've got all these pieces that you just need to take out, put in the upright standards here, put these in, and you'll have this thing together in no time. And then you realize that you actually there's one piece that is different that has to go in first. Okay, so make sure you read these. Now, the next step after I've read it all, I get an idea of how to what I'm going to do. So, for instance, with this model, the very first decision you have to make is, are you going to do a tall tank with 3 sections, or a shorter tank with 2 sections? Because there are different sort of pieces that you have to use depending on what your choice has been. Now, I've chosen the big to do the full tank. So now I have to go through and pull these all out. Now, the next consideration when you're building any model is, okay, what colors, or what painting do I have to do on this? So do I want to follow the way that this picture has been presented? Do you want to go do some research on what color these tanks would normally be, or just having a consideration to what's going to actually look good on what's going to be realistic, but also look good on the layout? So what I have decided here in this particular model is, I'm going to take the outside stuff, the outside girders, and I'm going to paint them a color of steel, like the rusted steel that you normally see in these situations, as well as these cross pieces. We'll do those rust. The tank itself, I'm going to do maybe a dark gray, sort of like a steel color. And then I'm going to do all the ladders and everything a different color. I don't know which color yet, but maybe red, maybe yellow. I'm not sure. Okay, so it's going to look a little different than this, but in my mind, that's going to give it a lot more life and a lot more excitement around this structure on the layout. Okay, so those are some thought processes that I use going forward. You also want to think about what kind of a situation you're going to have around this structure when you put it down. Are you going to want lights on it? How are you going to mount the lights if you want lights? That kind of thing that you also have to think about. Because, for instance, here, this is the base And the base will have a big opening, but do I want to put this onto a piece of, styrene or something that to give it more solidity, or to have like a cement pad around it? So these are all things you have to think about before you actually start putting the model together. So in this instance, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and try to pull out all the pieces that need to be painted with a rust color, and I'll go through and paint those up, and we'll come back and I'll show you that. And then I'm going to have to take all the tank pieces and paint them the color that I want. So all this has to be done prior to starting any kind of building on this. Now, the other thing that I'll mention, that I've made this mistake before too. So for instance, with these girders, okay, you're gonna, where you've cut, so I don't know if you can see this or not, but where, see these little nick marks? This is where they have been cut from the holding plastic. And these all have to be filed off before you paint. Because if you paint them and then you start to file these things off, you just wreck your paint. Okay? So that's another thing to remember. Get all the filing done. Anything where you see any nibs that you're going to have to file off, get that done first before you paint. Okay? So I'm going to do some filing. Then I'm going to pull out all my sections, get them all painted up, and when I come back, I'll sort of have them all laid out for you, and you can see how it looks. So I hope this was helpful, and thanks for the number of people that asked for this. I didn't know that people would find that valuable, but I hope you did. So let me know in the comments. Okay, I'll be back. All right, so I had all these filed down, got the pieces all separated. Decided to go with like a steely kind of color on that tank. Okay. And then the top over there, now that's the base. I painted that sort of concrete color. And then these are now painted sort of the steel color. Just getting close here. So I painted them red, and then I put some rust on them, give it a rust look. Let me see if I can get in close on one of these. You see it kind of looks rusty. Okay, now what I'm using, so I'd recommend highly that you take these outside when you do this. So all I'm using is one of these, probably one of these signs that I bought for like on sale. So they're like a big sign. Okay, and then underneath I've just got some foam just for support, so that I can lift it up if I want. It's not going to bend. So it's a nice little painting platform. I did the same with these girders, with the rust. You see they look a little bit rusty there. Okay, excellent. So this is going to dry now. And while I have these drying, I got fans on and the doors open and stuff. So that's sort of how I do the painting. Now I may, when I come back, I may do another coat on these, just depending on how I want it to look. If I want it to look like really smooth finished paint, or if I want it to look sort of faded, we'll see how it comes up. All right, so I'll come back when I have decided on whether I'm going to put these a second coat on these things. Okay, so I've got started on this tank. I'll just zoom out a little bit so you can see the whole thing, and you can see the way those pillars are right now. Now there is going to be a walkway that we'll insert in here, cover that in, so that's good. And I like the colors. I think the colors are going to come out good on this. Now this is the original first piece that we had to put in, and this is important to, this was a special piece because there's going to be a stairway that's going to sit in here. Okay, and then this is how it hooks into the base. So far, so good with this, and I will start to put some more pieces in and update you at that point. Now I just want to point out that I am using this glue, this product, to secure this in. It's a really nice product. I really like this. Okay, so I'll see you in a few minutes. Okay, just bringing you a little bit of an update on the progress here. So as you can see, we've got a lot of these now in place. I've had to put a couple clamps, little clips here just to hold some of these areas in while it dries a little bit. But other than that, it's been a pretty good project so far. Not too many problems. And as you can see, I'm down to the last two little segments of before we have the whole tank completed. So I will go ahead and do that. I just wanted to update you just to let you see how it's looking just before we put those last two on. I'll just see if I can turn this a little bit for you so you can see how it's looking. Very good. Okay, so I'll get busy, get these last two in place, and I'll come back to you and show you how it looks. Okay, so I'm putting on this walkway now, and I put on two of the pieces, but I saved one here just to show you, because if you just try to put them on, see, they don't fit. They don't fit by a long shot. Okay, so what you need to do is go to the top, and you need to feed these on over the top. Just give it a little push. See, now it fits. And then you just gotta bring it down to the point where it's gonna sit right about there on that tank, on the lower tank. Now before I do that, I'm just gonna put a little bit of glue just along, just little dabs of glue along that top piece of tank. You don't want a lot, just a little bit. If you get too much glue, you just take a little bit of a Q-tip, wipe along there. But you don't want it to run down. Now I'll also put a little bit of glue on this and on this end. Hopefully we can get those to stick together. Down she comes. Just get it into place. I just want to make sure that's touching all the way along. Looks good. Now once that is glued into place and the glue cures a little bit, it's pretty solid. I was quite impressed with actually how solid it is. Once it cures in place. Now, okay, so I'll just spin this around a bit and show you the stuff that's already in place. See, that's pretty strong once that glue cures in. Okay, now we can have a little gap in this walkway, but not too big, because we don't want to have people stepping across open ground too much. There we go. Okay, that's starting to set in there. So I just wanted to show you how to do that walkway, that little tricky part at the top. It's pretty bizarre how these must be angled somehow so that if you try to put them on down here, it just doesn't fit. But when you put them on, they slide down. Pretty cool. Maybe it's the way the little things are cut. The little slots are maybe cut on an angle that only allows them to go from the top down. Okay, now I'm going to continue. A little bit concerned with some of the gaps here. I think these are a lot bigger than I would hope for, so I'm going to try to think of some way to fill those in. That's the only, right now, it's the only complaint I have about this model so far, is that there is a bit of, few of these don't fit as tight as they should. And every time you try to make them fit tight, another panel will break loose somewhere. So we're gonna have to think about how to fix that. And I've got an idea, I'll give it a go. Maybe it will work, maybe it won't. But I'm gonna show you that as we go along. Okay, come on back and we'll see if it works. Okay, just an update. Just starting to get some of these cross beams in place on this gas tank. So I thought I'd just show you how it's looking at this point. Just get back a bit so you can see. Okay. And these are the areas I still have to do here. So it's starting to look pretty good. And I'll update you when I have all these girders across, beams across. And then we've got to put some fencing up here like this on this area. Then we got to put the top on. I'm thinking about what I'm going to do for lights on this. So we'll have a little thought process about what to do with the lights. All right, so we just keep on moving, get the cross beams on, and I'll come back and show what we got. All right, so I got the rest of those cross beams on, and then I've started to put on the fencing and along the walkway, and it's a you have to be very patient doing this job. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. I'm starting to, I'm glad that I mixed the colors up a little bit. It looks pretty good so far. I started a bit of weathering on this tank just to see how it's going to look. Kind of looks okay. And to do that, I just took a little bit of lighter paint and just scrubbed it on with a Q-tip. I think I'm just going to continue that all the way around. Maybe put a bit of brown in it. Just having some, you know, gunk and stuff inside of the tank, I think. All right, so pretty pleased with the stairway. Looks pretty good. And you can see that weathering a little bit more there. And as we move around, looks pretty good. All right, now I just got to finish the walkway off, put the top on it, do some weathering, and she'll be going on the layout. Exciting stuff. All right, stay with me. Okay, there it is. Got it pretty much finished up. I put it on the layout so you can see where it's going to be on the layout. Just a quick walk around here. So it seems to look pretty good there. Fits the spot. I'll just zoom in a bit so you can have a closer look at it. Okay, looking down on the walkway, the ladder. Okay, very good. There's the top on. I have to decide what I'm going to do with lights. And in another episode, we'll come back and we'll get this thing weathered up, detailed up. And there you go. There's our modified diesel tank, which is going to supply the engines from this yard. Okay, so when we detail this, we'll bring you back and we'll go through all the detailing stuff on the tank. And I'm going to do another episode, probably the next one, just detailing that roundhouse a bit more. I don't like it. All right, so that's it. It was a good project. Enjoyed it. I had fun. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And don't forget to like and subscribe, tell your friends, and I'll see you next time. Bye now.